They figure we're expendable. And they do the same thing with equipment, like a
Billions of dollars.
bomber. They don't expect it'll come back. You want to do his job, and ego was great.
Yeah.
But his desire to do rotten things like slapping a soldier
I heard about it.
was all together put together because they wanted to discredit him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he didn't. But if he slapped a soldier with his gloves, he did it not in a
vicious way.
Not to belittle the soldier, but to bring it to his attention that stand up and fight. You know, don't sit and whimper.
Or like a tough coach.
Yeah.
In a good way. Yeah.
So he was.
He's trying to make men out of boys.
I'll tell you what. If you think that they were overly strict with the soldiers, he and his outfit, the General Bradley, he has a 4-star general, came to my barracks one day in an inspection tour. They just appeared there with a jeep. He walks into my place, and we were staying on a beach house on the beach in Italy, on the Mediterranean, and we had our guns emplaced on the shoreline, and that was after Anzio. And he comes up to my place, and half my crew was inside the barracks building, and they'd been drinking wine. So they got, some of them were pretty well drunk, you know, one or two of them. And but my gun crew was on the gun, where they should be, and they were all sober and they were all in good shape. He goes into the barracks, and one of my guys in there didn't recognize him as a general, so he thumbs his nose at him. He goes,
Omar Bradley?
Then he looked at him. He says, "What's the matter with you, son? You been drinking?" Kid finally woke up that it was really a general. He says, "No, sir." You know, and the bottle of wine was sitting on his bed. So the general turns around and walks out. I said, "Oh boy, we're in trouble." So he goes up to headquarters, and my lieutenant's calling me back. What the hell happened down there? And I said, "Well, one of the guys thumbed his nose at the general," and he broke out laughing. He thought it was the funniest thing he ever heard. Then I thought we were going to get all kinds of discipline out of it. The general told him to forget it.
Wow.
Because he said he didn't find anything wrong with our gun section. We were, everybody was working where they should be.
Unbelievable.
And those people that were not at work were off duty. And he said that was okay. They have to get some kind of recreation, you know.
Did you ever take a snapshot of Bradley?
Huh?
Did you ever get any snapshots of Patton, Eisenhower, Bradley, any of the big ones? When you brushed
Bradley was the only one that ever inspected my place.
You probably had no film. It's one of those.
I don't know.
Probably didn't even think of it. You're probably too
Well, at the time, we didn't think anything more about Bradley than you think about the next person, you know.
I hear you.
You come in there and...
Till later on, they become legends later on down the road.
Yeah, but he had quite a high rank at the time. I think he ended up at 4-star. He was 3-star at least at the time. But I still remember that, and I can show you the guy that thumbed his nose at him.
You couldn't.
Huh? Oh, Jesus. We had a laugh.
Did you guys joke around like as not? Did you make fun of Nazis?
We took a little Italian kid, and I'll show you who he is.
Do you remember the old TV shows Hogan's Heroes?
Yeah. We trained this little kid to speak English. He couldn't speak any English. We told him to walk up to the officer, and look him up in the face, and say, "You dirty son of a bitch." And that was a good thing to do. And the kid did that. The officer looks down at him. What the hell could he do? It was a message from the troops.
That's funny. Italian kid.
Oh, they're doing that all the time. I mean, you could.
Don't let me forget this phone. I gotta put it by the window.
I had a guy.
I'm not getting any reception on this phone. Yeah.
One time when we were in a barracks, and he got in there. He took what they call a short sheeting of bed. They take a bed and they put the sheet back this way, and the guy goes to get in the bed and he gets stuck and he can't get in it. Funny, big deal. So while he's doing that, 4 or 5 of us over there fixing his bed in a worse condition. We pulled the joints apart on his bed and just stuck them together temporarily. He goes over there and gets that bed all fixed up, and then he rushes back to his bed and jumps on his bed, and the whole damn thing went like. So he knew that he was Here's a kid. Here is my brother, and he was nowhere there in the army. He was in Greenland. A few of the guys. That's my brother again. My mother.
Oh, you got some writing in the back of this. I can see it from the other side. You know, taken before the 5th. Someday, same day before the 5th. What's the 5th?
It must be the 5th of July.
Oh, this is the U.S.
Yeah, actually, he's in home.
Oh, what city
He's
is
at home.
this?
That's my brother at home.
Wow. What
Before
city?
the war.
Wow.
When he was in the army and he was here.
Your brother was in the army?
Yeah.
Were you guys? Did you see each other at all?
No. I didn't know where he was.
Wow.
And this is the Jeep he drove. He had drove a Jeep. He had a.
Did he make it out of the war?
Yeah. Well, he had to. He was in Greenland. He drove around with his Jeep. It was a general.
Wow.
That's all he's ever did.
That's
his
just a
cushy
chauffeur,
job.
huh? Wow. Cushy job behind the lines.
Yeah. This is a picture of a pontoon bridge that was put in across the river when they.
Hey, do you remember the controversy with Patton? And he was supposed to. He did a news clip for the news media, and he was supposedly on the front lines, and there was like a civilian vehicle that drove in the background, and it gave him away that it really truly wasn't on the front lines. Do you remember that controversy?
Well, anybody who thinks that Patton was not at the front lines is dead wrong.
No, it was just one situation where he was doing.
I know.
Do you remember that story?
Tell
though?
me this: who would be interested in proving that he wasn't?
It was kind
That
of
must
a
come from
bad
that must come from somebody who had an axe to grind, because he was at the front lines.
Yeah.
He was all over the place.
Yep.
And so.
He probably just had a. They needed the story right then and there. It was easier to say he was for some reason, just for the. You know.
I don't know how that came about. I have no idea why would they do such a dumb thing. Damn, this guy's name I can just about say. He was in my army as a corporal, and he was trying to become a sergeant. And he worked, and I would have these assignments before we got overseas. We'd have to go out and do the drills, like jumping off of a boat in the water with our full uniform, full outfit on, guns and everything, and wade ashore, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the water up to here. I didn't like that shit, so I said, "Picorni, why don't you go take this assignment?" Oh boy, I was just dying to take the assignment to go out there and, you know, impress the officer so he could become a sergeant. So I used him a little bit to do the dirty work. And then after a while, he got to be a corporal and got to be a sergeant, and I naturally recommended him, you know.
Good.
So he got to be finally made it.
Good.
And he took over a gun section. So I know about church, I know about Corny, and this is the one that stubbed his nose at the general.
Is it Johnson?
Virgil something.
Okay.
And this is,
Spanish
I'm
name.
going to have to think about that a while. But I knew each one of their names. I had to knock him down a few times myself.
Little Irish guy?
Oh yeah, he was always in trouble.
Was he Irish?
I don't know, no, he was Texas.
Troublemakers,
From
Irish.
Texas.
Really?
And he would kind of piss, you know, but he thought he was going to beat up on everybody. And I one time, I had people like him in my section, and they would get in an argument and they would fight and all that stuff. And one guy was a truck driver, and I said to him one day, sitting by the campfire, and I was saying, some general did something, and I said, no, that wasn't. He said it was some general. I said, no, that wasn't. It was somebody else. And it pissed him off because I told him that he was wrong, you know. And so he jumps across the fire and comes at me and is going to knock me to pieces. And I'm the sergeant and he's the private.
Right.
He was doing something that was not normally accepted. However, I didn't hold him to the regulations because we were actually just having a discussion. It wasn't army business, period. Anyhow, he comes across the fire and I reached out and I got big hands.
Yeah.
I grabbed his neck like that and I held him that far, right out there. I was so damn strong you wouldn't believe it. I held him right out there like that.
Like a
And
cartoon.
his arms were coming out. And I said, "What the hell is the matter with you? Are you gonna do hit me or something?" So then he ran back to his tent and he was threatening to use his rifle to kill me, you know.
Oh boy.
So I called up the headquarters and told them I had one man here that was getting the idea that he was going to take the matter in his own hands, and that we should, they should take a look at him. So the officers got him up and they asked him what the hell the score was, and he finally comes to the point that the argument we had was totally without merit, and he shouldn't have been causing any kind of trouble whatsoever, but they transferred him out of my outfit into some other outfit.
Yeah, really.
And they asked me if I wanted to press charges against him, and I said no, he just got a bad, had a bad day, and wanted to raise hell. However, I told him that he may be dangerous because he has a bad temper.
Yeah, really.
And
bad for morale, too.
yeah, a very bad temper, and was going to use a rifle or something else to enforce his idea that I'm not going to lose an argument, you know.
Oh, boy.
What the hell? There's people like that around, you know.
It's crazy.
If they lose an argument, they stay mad forever. And I said, well, it doesn't amount to it, Dan. What are we talking about here? Some general did something. What do we care? He wouldn't give it up, you know. And Schuler, Maccabee.
I wouldn't mind seeing some pictures of dead Nazis.
A truck driver. Boy, I look at this some more. I'll get it.
Did you find any old like Lugers or any kind of nice Nazi?
I had a
relics?
Luger and I traded it off to this guy
Oh.
for no, not to him, to Johnson, another guy. I traded it off to him for an accordion he had.
Oh.
Then he never gave me the accordion. He kept the
Ah,
Luger.
you know, you get a lot of money now for
Huh?
Lugers. You can get up to over $1,000 and better
Yeah.
for some Lugers now.
But I never had a big desire for Casablanca.
Someone made a car.
in the beginning of the war is some kind of just stuff we. Let me see what we got
Is
here.
your wife?
Yeah.
Oh, very pretty.
She was a good wife, I tell you, for many years. She died of cancer.
From ovarian cancer or something like that?
No, she had breast cancer.
Oh. I mean,
Look at that wind. And it blew all the buildings down. And here's one that's made out of bricks that knocked it down completely.
wow.
And that's the pictures we took. While this was happening, the Army evacuated us out of that place in Palacios, Texas. My wife stayed there through the storm.
Wow.
And I was really worried because she couldn't get out of there and I was out of there. Huh?
Yeah, she made it through it.
Well, yeah. And I always tell people the reason that I was made sergeant because when they got rid of him, I was the next tallest one.
Wow. They should have put you in a front.
We went up to what they called the Po River Valley.
Okay.
From the beginning of the war in France. This one here is this one's husband. And it was all back in the good old days when we were young.
Wow.
God, you never think I was ever young, would you?
No, sure. Sure you would. Are they your stripes?
Hmm?
They're your stripes.
Yeah.
Sergeant stripes.
Sergeant stripes and a few other little things in here that are...
Knickknacks.
So everything you've heard from me today, as far as I know, is completely true.
I believe it.
And there'd be no point in lying.
Look at that bag of relics.
Texarkana got back on the ship. I got some of this stuff I ought to copy. You know?
Really? Huh, interesting. Texarkana.
Here's a